Well, Pacelli and Boomer, they're grizzled and gray, talking about Star Wars from back in the day. Got a talk show called Geeky Geezers, it's true, spinning old tales about the stuff that went through. From Atari to Trek, they know every line. Geeky Geezers, man, they're feeling just fine. Late Savvy's got a lightsaber, swings it with pride. Boomer's got a game but plays it deep in the night. They're ranting about He-Man and old X-Men too. On Geeky Geezers, they're the nerdiest crew, talking Transformers toys that twist and they turn, singing blues for the geek life, their hearts still burn. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're sitting in the studio, mics turned up loud, reminiscing about Super Friends, feeling so proud. Pacelli loves Spider-Man, Boomer's for Hulk. They argue about Star Trek with passionate both. From Betamax tapes to their old D20s, Geeky Geezers where the nostalgia flows. They got fans in the chat, from the young to the old, tuning in to hear stories that never get told. Talking Ghostbusters, Proton Packs, toys in the box, and Saturday mornings with cartoons that rocks. Pacelli and Boomer, they're keeping it real. Geeky Geezers with that old school feel. Oh, Geeky Geezers, they're living the dream, talking comics and movies, they're busting the scenes. From Battlestar reruns to D&D lore, they're preaching the gospel of geek evermore. Pacelli and Boomer, they'll never grow old. Geeky Geezers with hearts made of gold. They're singing the blues for the games that they play, for the VHS tapes and the arcades that pray. But the spirits are young, though their hair's turning white. Geeky Geezers keep the nerd fire alight, so tune in each week to the Geeky Geezers show, where Pacelli and Boomer let the good times flow. From X-Files to X-Men, they're dropping the news, singing praises of geek life with them old blues. Pacelli and Boomer, forever they'll be. Geeky Geezers living wild and free.
You know, we did talk about Star Wars deep into the night, but that was on Friday.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
We talked about blue milk, so y'all who missed that, check it out.
By the way, I did do some shopping yesterday, and I did pick up a half gallon of that blue milk. I haven't tried it yet, though.
I was going to say, you didn't pour yourself a glass?
I have not poured myself a glass yet.
You could do a live taste test tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that for lunch. Yeah, tomorrow is actually so-called May the 4th, so maybe I will do that, yeah.
So, welcome everyone to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Agent Boomer. As you can see, I have the Yoda, not on a tractor, but on a bike, but we got an R2-D2 in the background. And this is my co-host, Pacelli.
Hello. Yeah.
This is my other co-host, Netter of Netter's Network, also known as the Geezette.
Yes, I am the one and only Geezette.
And she is also a Pacelli.
I suppose I should say this is Troy, also of Last Call with Troy Pacelli.
Yeah, that's true. And Liquid Lunch and, all the other things that I do.
All the other things, yes. Like, in fact, Doctor Who coming up tonight.
That is absolutely right. Last Call presents Doctor Who. We're going to wrap up the Sensorites tonight. Maybe literally.
The Silurians are still a ways off, aren't they?
Yeah. The Silurians are a little ways off. And we're about to go into the last story arc of Season 1. Which is the Reign of Terror.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Welcome, Lynn Green.
Hello.
Good to see you. Looking very green today. Welcome.
Dropped a like.
There we go. And welcome, Big Al. Big Al Presents. Hope you have a great show tonight. Thank you. I hope we do too, but we'll see. I'm kidding. Of course we'll have a great show tonight. D. Pensec, welcome.
Unscripted Ray, thank you so much. We're going to send you back over there when this wraps up.
Yes, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Welcome. Happy Sunday. I almost thought about starting off the stream saying it's May the 3rd. What's the word, turd? It's May the 3rd, but I said no.
There you go.
But I just did it now, so I guess...
But you just did, exactly.
Anyway, JPRPH1, welcome. Netter of Netter's Network, welcome. You're in the chat, too. Okay, yes. And let me see here. Deleted scenes just in time. Connie Cleary, welcome. Tired Midnight Blogger, welcome. Let's see here. Our Infinite Surround. What's up, people? Long day. Might not be in chat long. Sorry. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
do what you
totally
gotta do.
understand. I totally understand. Netter will tell you that there are some nights where, I get involved in something, usually a game, and I will just go into the wee hours of the morning. And then there are some times, usually after on the next day, when I'm so tired by, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock, it's bedtime, and I'm dragging her to bed, and I'm out before her head even hits the pillow.
That can
Yeah,
happen.
last night he literally turned off the light and then he was out.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
Yeah. It was just...
Well, you had a busy day yesterday.
I did, and thank you so much for taking care of the notes.
No problem. No problem. I even did the tiny URLs. I've gotten used to doing
I know. I find that very impressive.
All right.
That is a little bit of work there.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I mean, it is a little bit. I almost freaked out because I thought, for some reason, I'm telling you, Bloody Disgusting is so weird because when it does the reader mode, it gives me the wrong article. But when you click off of it, then you're in the right article. And I'm like, what's going on here? But here we go. We always start these streams.
Why are we... Oh, I see. I have the layers mixed up. There we go. That's better.
And we are going to start off the stream, as we always do, talking about the good old days, right?
Tell me about the good old days.
And I thought I would talk about the movie, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Have you seen this movie?
I don't think I saw this version of it, no. Well, there was a couple that I saw as a kid. I was absolutely enchanted with Narnia, particularly the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
So did you read the books growing up, just out of curiosity?
I did. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get too far into them. I think I read the first 2 or 3 books. And then I revisited them in high school when I started getting into Dungeons & Dragons.
Yeah, that might be my next book series. Maybe I will try to read through the Narnia books before we have a certain movie come out later.
We'll talk about that some more, yeah.
Okay, so this was the... I know there have been a lot of adaptations. I think there was an animated movie. There was an animated special. I know BBC did a big time... They did a production of the movies too, right? As like a miniseries, I think.
Yes, they did.
This was the big Hollywood movie. This was a co-production between Disney and Walden Media, or Walden Studios. You know them, I think, from England?
Yes.
Right, okay. They were very hesitant to really have this be made into a movie until they saw footage of them being able to show what the CGI animals would look like, and they were impressed enough that they went ahead. In fact, it was C.S. Lewis's adopted son. He's the one who was in charge of the whole thing at the time, because of course he had grown up by then. If you want to hear more about that story, you can watch Shadowlands with Anthony Hopkins. It actually has C.S. That's about his romance and him falling in love with this woman and then eventually adopting her son. Remember the American woman, actually.
Yeah.
But has Anthony Hopkins in it. But this was the movie version of the Chronicles of Narnia. I feel this is sort of an unsung series. I love this movie, love the book so much. Well, I'm glad you did too, because I feel that this series has gotten lost in the shuffle because of Harry Potter and because of Lord of the Rings. And I think that this was Disney trying to get their own Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Now, they didn't own this. This was a co-producing. This is like when Legendary makes Dune and Warner Brothers distributes it, but they could still put it on.
Or, like Disney with Bluey.
Well, here's the thing. Back then, though, Disney wasn't such a bad company. It wasn't the Disney we have now. They took risks. This was a big budget production, and I love how this movie starts out. I'm giving you a little bit of spoiler, of course, but it starts out, you see all these clouds and a night sky, and then suddenly all these planes emerge, and it's the Blitz. The Blitz is on in London. It's World War II. And basically this is it shows the family, the 4 kids, having to run for shelter, and then it shows them having to get shipped off to the country. And I believe that happened in the book. Weren't they sent to the country because of the war?
Yes, exactly right.
and I thought it's very interesting that this movie starts out not in this fantasy world, but in a kind of this horrible, stark reality that was going on in England at that time. And yeah, Shadowland's a good movie. Anthony Hopkins, Deborah Winger, Edward Hardwicke, Tim from Jurassic Park. Yeah, he played the son in that. Yeah, it's a good movie. Shadowland's actually a good companion movie to this. Actually, if you're curious to learn more about C.S. Lewis.
I will also say that I think of all of the modern, and by modern I mean since 2005 up through the Capaldi era, Doctor Who homages that there have been. I really did love the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. It hit a lot of the same.
I remember that.
A lot of the same character beats. At least, you know, the whole like real world side of it. They didn't get super Narnia, but there was definitely the whole wardrobe thing and so forth, and the whole London Blitz element of it was done very, 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 very well. It was a Christmas special, and I very much appreciated that. I felt it was far better than the Scrooge homage that they did.
Well, yeah, that was kind of just.
It was like they were trying to recapture what they had done with this, you know. I mean, anyway, but we're talking real Narnia, not homages.
I wonder if I had that same books that you're mentioning, Connie Claire. I used to have them. They were these small paperbacks that came in a little box.
Right.
But I need to.
That was definitely the edition I had.
Probably the yellowish covers. I think. Like, yeah, I seem to recall those, or maybe they were beige. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is of course Mr.
They
Thomas.
get yellow over time. That's true.
This movie had a surprisingly good budget. I feel this movie, it actually, in my opinion, has some pacing in it where it doesn't rush you into things. It moves. It doesn't bore you, but it doesn't rush into things during this film. Like, you're introduced to Mr. Tom. They're playing a game of hide and seek while they're stuck in the professor's house, and that's how she finds the way into Narnia. Yeah. And the four kid, you know, very English actors here. And here they are in Narnia, and I don't know. The effects were just good. That's Mr. Badger right there. Right. I like Mr. and Mrs. Badger in this. They talk like an old married couple, you know.
I always wondered about naming like that. I mean, can you imagine being called Mr. and Mrs. Human?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I was rewatching this before the stream. There's one scene where I think Edmund the horse is kneeing. He says, "Oh, calm down, horse." And he says, "My name is Philip," or he says something like that. The horse says
exactly.
It, you know?
Well, and you would think so, right? I mean, based on yeah, if you're going to anthropomorphize animals, certainly.
Well, they look like the animals, but then they sort of get expressions on their faces when they talk, which I guess is different than that Lion King movie they did. Here's what I want to say. This movie comes out in 2005. I feel that the effects hold up better than a lot of stuff being made today, and I think I figured it out. I think back then they would do stuff CG that had to be done CG, and the other stuff they would do practical or have sets. Do you understand?
Right, as much as possible. Yeah.
And I think what happens is people then who are doing the CG just focus on making the computer animation effects look as good as it can without having to worry about doing a bunch of other stuff.
Right.
And I'm just saying.
And really and truly good CG is not just trying to replicate life. It is trying to tell a story, and this is my biggest problem with these so-called live action adaptations of things. There are things that can be done in animation that can't be done or can't be done well or shouldn't be done in live action. One of them is, like you said, showing expressions on animals' faces. If you are going to do it, it must look unrealistic. And if you are working in such a realistic medium, and you have, I mean, it's like that meme. I think someone shared it in the chat during the movie yesterday. A dog reacting, like he's sitting in a chair watching something on TV, and his head's pulled back and his eyes are real big in a very humanish kind of way, and it just kind of breaks your brain, and you go, that's so bizarre. And that's what happens when you have these live action, animal characters behaving in these kinds of ways. Whereas when it's stylized, like cell animation or that normal kind of 2D animation, Bambi having big eyes, or the female, the doe, like batting her eyes at Bambi. It isn't quite as weird as when you have a really, really realistic creature doing that.
Right. Oh, I understand. Yes. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. Big Al just sent me on MeWe the book covers. I think those are the ones I had. They look similar. Yeah. But I don't know. So you never saw this, huh?
I don't think I saw this version of it, no. But I obviously knew the story. And yes, Big Al, those are absolutely the ones that I had and read. No doubt about that.
They had Tilda Swinton played the White Witch in this.
Yeah, I thought she was well cast. Very well cast.
Yes. I think she's Scottish or Welsh? I think she's Scottish.
I'm
there's
not
a big
sure.
difference between those two.
What I
Anyway.
do love is, and it's not just this particular iteration. All the iterations that I've seen of Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. This image of her, the White Queen. Right? The in the carriage, being pulled by 3 polar bears. I definitely co-opted that in a Dungeons and Dragons scenario.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, we had a white witch or a white queen in a far north setting, being pulled around by polar bears. Big differences, though. I mean, it was, but you don't care about my D&D game, but yes.
Oh,
yes,
I do.
Well, I don't think the audience does. I think we should probably stay at the top.
Do you remember on The Young Ones, the British sitcom, when the punk got, I think he fell into the picture or something on the wall and he ended up in Narnia and he meets the White Witch? Remember that?
Oh
and
my gosh.
And she says, "Would you like any Turkish delight?" And he says, "No, thanks. Got any kebabs?" Remember that?
Yeah.
But I think there was a lion loose in
I
the
see.
house.
I remember when I was a teenager talking about this with some friends and thinking, the White Queen. Would you like some Turkish delights? Oh, is that a euphemism for something? Yeah, maybe I would.
Well, she's supposed to be very beautiful, the White Witch, and I think Tilda Swinton is well cast because I think she can look beautiful, but then also kind of terrifying at the same time.
She has that kind of also otherworldly kind of look to her. So
yeah, and I think she was well cast in this part, but and there are the 3 kids. There's Edmund and not Edmund, excuse me, Peter.
Yeah.
And there's little Lucy down there. And they do meet Father Christmas in the one scene. Is that in the book when they meet Father Christmas?
God, it's been so long I don't remember. Probably.
Here's the idea. The things are so bad in Narnia that it's always winter and never Christmas. And he says, we haven't had a Christmas here in 100 years. And
well, that kind of sucks.
Tilda Swinton is British. Thank you, Al. That narrows it down.
There you go.
That's what you said. Let me see there. I only read because I only had the first books, and then Lord of the Rings, and then I read The Hobbit, and then I only read the book because I saw the cartoon special. So you talking about the Narnia books, Geek Flag? But let me see here. Moving on to, and there's Aslan, who was voiced by Liam Neeson.
Yes,
which
absolutely.
I thought was good casting too.
Oh yeah.
But one thing that I find impressive with these movies, and I'll get into the sequels in a minute though, but the big battles look like big battles, like something out of Lord of the Rings or anything else, which I think is interesting that the director actually, in fact, that was a criticism these movies got. Why are there so many battle scenes? I don't care. I like the battle scenes. Shut up.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. I don't care if they're a page in the book. That's why you have the movie. They can expand on things. Anyway.
Right. Well, I mean, what's the point of? I mean, in a book, which is a particular medium, just mentioning that it happens is enough because, let's face it, you're seeing it from the point of view of the kids. They're only seeing it from their small thing. They're not, flying in the air over the battlefield, watching it for, hours and describing every bit of it. Whereas for an audience, you do get to see elements of that because it is a third person kind of perspective.
Geek Flag, yes, he does. Father Christmas. Oh, yeah, Father Christmas, not Santa Claus. And he appears before the children and the beavers. Yeah, that's in the movie,
said it right.
too.
You said it right.
Oh, I did say Father Christmas. Okay. I'm trying to keep it proper because this is a...
Trying to keep it British, yeah, exactly.
Yes. And Tilda Swinton grew up in Scotland or army bases. Okay. But there she is wearing, I guess, the mane of Aslan. Is that right, if I'm remembering from the books? In her triumph. And, of course, we realize Aslan, of course, comes back in 3 days, I believe, right?
Yes, he does. Yeah. It sound familiar? Exactly.
It does. Yeah, they don't gloss over that. I mean, they call them the son of. Are you a daughter of Eve, or are you a son of Adam? Because they're looking for the daughters of Eve's and the sons of Adam's, right? That are supposed to show up and save Narnia from the evil of the White Witch, who I think, according to the lore, she wasn't native to Narnia. She came from another world, which she had herself destroyed. Mm-hmm. And then she came to Narnia, so she wasn't even native to Narnia. But, of course, this is a precursor to the final battle. There were sequels made. Here's at the end. This is when they are the kings and queens of Narnia.
Right.
Before they go back home. But what's interesting, what I like about this movie is that it shows, and maybe this shows up in the books too, that the children are dealing with living through a war. I think their dad is off fighting.
Yes.
And they're stuck at home. They get separated from their mother because they have to go live in the country like the other kids because they moved the kids out of London, right? Because of the they were
because
worried
of the Blitz, yeah,
because
exactly.
of the Blitz, and so it's and then they end up here in this fantasy world, which is wonderful. But then there's another war going on here, But
exactly. Well, so I've read, I've thought about this a lot, and I've read a lot of analyses and so forth. And one possible interpretation, kind of like if you think about the film version of Wizard of Oz, right? Well, the whole thing was a dream, right? And from a certain point of view, you could interpret this first story as being a story, a tale, a fantasy on the children's part that they shared that became this story between them. And you expect that a story like that the children are pantomiming out would reflect what's going on in the real world from their perspective, So, just one way of looking at it.
It's one point, but
and then of course they probably grew up learning the Bible in the Anglican Church, so of course you're going to superimpose that on it as well.
Well, sure. I mean, C.S. Lewis, I believe, was an Anglican, but I mean, he's just considered in general a big-time Christian thinker.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm not saying that Anglicans aren't Christians.
No, I wasn't saying that either.
Okay. Don't imply that.
I was saying you were implying it.
Okay.
We're all good.
Good.
They're English. That's the church that a lot of English are. Anyway, Narnia, Prince Caspian. The sequel came out a few years later. And I felt the critics were very harsh on this because they complain there's just too many battle sequences, and the humans, the bad humans in this, they're just evil. There's like no news. Yes, sometimes villains are just bad. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how these stories are meant to be. Do you see? This is the thing. We unfortunately have this whole generation of so-called writers, so-called entertainers who don't understand that the best stories in history are very, binary, okay? It's good and evil, and the two are very clear. And if there was any ambiguity, it was an evil creature pretending to be good, only to reveal himself to be completely evil. And you could see it coming a mile away as an audience, just the hero doesn't necessarily see it. That's how good storytelling has always been done. And okay, fine. Occasionally, maybe you tell something that's got some nuance in it. That's great. But they don't all have to be, anti-hero, turn everything upside down and make the bad guys the good guys all the time.
I thought it was kind of refreshing that you just have kind of this...
Yeah.
terrestrial because he's just a human. He doesn't have special powers. Do you understand? Like
Right,
the White
right,
Witch.
right.
And what I liked about this, there's a scene in the movie where he asks his uncle. He goes, "You said." You said my father died in his sleep and then his uncle says yes he did. Well, he was sleeping when I killed him. That's what he's because I guess he murdered him in his father in his
Yeah.
sleep. But
I do kind of like Lynn saying that Anglicans are Christians, but the head of the Anglican Church is Muslim. Yeah,
yeah,
kind of
well,
true.
the head is supposed to be the king, and maybe the
That's
king
what she's
should.
saying.
Yeah,
That
oh,
is
I see what
exactly
you're
what she's
saying. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, they got to get stuff under control. But
I
anyway,
know.
not to digress. But again, this is back in the mid 2000s when things seemed more normal across the world. And this is a very English story. What I thought was interesting, and maybe this was a liberty they took away from the books, but the humans on Narnia are of Spanish descent, and you find out later on they're descendants of Spanish pirates. So their armor looks like the armor that a conquistador might wear, which I thought was interesting. But again,
Yeah.
maybe that was a departure from the books. I don't know. I think they were descended from pirates that somehow wandered into Narnia because they wondered where these humans came from. Because of course the kids went through the wardrobe and everything else, but where do these other humans come from that showed up in Narnia? Well, they came from Earth as well. But
Exactly.
but I enjoyed this. It had that one mouse character who there was one scene in it where it was like Mission Impossible where they were trying to break into the castle
Right.
like stealthily. It reminded me
Yeah.
of something out of Mission Impossible. But I
Well, and
enjoyed
who are you
this,
going to send but a mouse? A mouse makes perfect sense.
and he was small and he was very courageous at that. So this came out. I don't think it did the box office. The first one did. But I think it did well enough for a sequel. But Disney wanted to have a lower budget for the sequel, and Walden Media started shopping around for the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, saying Disney doesn't want to front the money we need to do the proper effects. So it left Disney and went to 20th Century Fox. Isn't that ironic? Since Disney now
Yeah.
owns 20th Century Fox, which means does Disney technically now own this movie? This is the
Sure
third
they
movie
do.
in the Narnia movies.
Absolutely. If they wanted to, and if they were smart, they would do some sort of a collection of them because they legally could do that now.
All three, because they own all three. That'd be nice, and I would buy it because I think I lost my original DVDs in the flood. I do have them digitally. It's not the same, but I want to get a decent set of them, though.
Right.
I hate to tell you this, the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, when this came to Blu-ray, this had one of the worst DVD boxes ever made.
Oh gosh.
It had like this thing where like you were worried the disc was going to break in half when you tried to pry it off. It was horrible. It was horrible. I don't know why they went with this awful case. This is Angry Video Game Nerd did a whole rant on DVD cases once, where like, can we just keep to a standard, please? That would be nice.
I know. So they will all fit on your shelf, because
Yes.
that's part and parcel of collecting,
Yes. But they were descended from pirates. I don't think he ever told the nationality. So in the movie, they made them Spanish pirates, which I thought was kind of interesting because it gave a contrast with the English children. I think in Dawn Treader, though, they just forget about the Spanish descent thing. They just casted anyone. But I thought this was still a good sequel. White Witch makes small cameos in both the sequels. In Prince Caspian, when they're trying to resurrect her, she sort of starts emerging out. And is almost talking to Peter there, trying to convince him, I'll save you, before the spell gets busted. You understand?
Right.
And in this, I think she shows up. They enter some fog where you see her worst fear, and I think she shows up again to taunt young now older to Edmund now at this point, because
Sure.
this is Edmund's last adventure, I think, isn't it? I think Eustace takes over, right, for the rest of the series. I think it's his cousin Eustace who is. Well, he has some growing in this movie, okay, but
Well, I do like the fact that you're following the family,
Yes.
and you continue that kind of. Plus, I also love the fact that the stories in Narnia, they kind of play a lot around with the wibbly wobbly timey wiminess that you didn't see too much back then.
yeah, what's interesting is because time passes differently in Narnia. Like
They literally live a whole lifetime, and then they come back, and almost no time has passed. Which, again, going back to that one perspective, that this could just be them creating a story in a few days and an afternoon, whatever.
Well, it's, as C.S. Lewis would have said, it's magic, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Right.
But I think all three of these movies are very solid, good family adventure fantasy movies. I think they're up there with the Lord. I think they're good adaptations. I think they're actually probably better adaptations than some of those later Harry Potter movies, which seem to get a pass on everything. But I am sad this series didn't get the fourth movie made, which I think Lyndon Green had mentioned was going to be The Silver Chair. But this one didn't do so hot at the box office, and I think that ended up in development hell, which is where we end up where we are now, which we will get to in a little bit. But here's what I don't understand. If they are going to remake these, are they going to remake these three? Because how are you going to do them better? Because I think the effects are good, the acting is good, the set production is good, score, everything works in these movies. I don't know what they're going to do to improve on them, unless they're just going to skip them entirely.
I mean, if it's a different studio, I don't know.
I don't think they're going to be part of this series. It's going to be a new thing all over again. It's like...
Well, we'll get to that when we have an article to look at.
Okay, we'll move on. Let's move into the present. But that's the Chronicles of Narnia movies. I do recommend them for anyone who hasn't seen them. And, yeah, here we are to our modern present day. Let's move to the first story of the night, which is Nintendo. Nintendo tariff refund lawsuit filed by U.S. players, because I think Nintendo was going after the U.S. government over tariffs, which we didn't cover that story because I can't deal with this anymore. But here we go. This is from WWE Pro. Nintendo is facing a tariff refund lawsuit in the United States from players who argue that refunds from tariffs imposed on imports should be passed on to consumers. The legal action focuses on tariffs applied to products imported by Nintendo, including game consoles and accessories. The lawsuit filed in federal court in California claims that Nintendo received refunds after certain U.S. tariffs were lifted, but did not distribute the money to customers. Okay. Plaintiffs argue that consumers are effectively overpaid due to the tariffs and are entitled to the reimbursement. The case seeks compensation for all affected U.S. customers who purchased products during the period when the tariffs were in place.
That seems perfectly fair.
Except I want to play devil's advocate here. Now, when I say I want to play devil's advocate, that doesn't mean
I think that's absolutely appropriate because you're talking about supporting Nintendo here, so go ahead.
I don't think they're the devil. I don't think they're saints. I think they're just being particularly greedy right now.
They're corporations, so
yes,
devil.
But listen to me. This is what I think is going to say. When Nintendo released the high cost of the Switch 2, and the game prices are going up and blah blah, it's consumed to the value blah blah, they never once blamed it on tariffs, which makes me wonder. Did they eat the cost of the tariffs? And maybe they said, we've already passed the cost. We already took on the cost.
It doesn't. I'll destroy your whole argument, though. It doesn't really matter what they say. It's reality that matters. They went to the federal government seeking relief. That relief needs to be passed along. I mean, it's fair because the fact is that they did raise their prices. They did not suffer anything because their buyers still bought from them. Okay. And yet they went to the government searching for relief. I'm sorry. If it's okay for you to go and take money from the government, then it's perfectly acceptable for your consumers to say, hey, pay up.
Okay, I have a solution. We're gonna have $5 off a $50 Nintendo Switch Online a subscription. How's that sound, huh? $5 off. There you go.
Well, speaking of $5 off, thank you for the gifted membership that Ruby Hoove just got for over on Netter's Network. Membership went to McKnight. What is that? Shaman. McKnight Shaman. Welcome to Netter's Network membership. As a result of Ruby Hoove. Actually, she did it twice. and she actually gifted a membership to Paulie over at Latino Slant. How cool
I like
is that?
Paulie. He's good people.
So welcome to Netters Network membership, Paulie. Super appreciate that. You're wonderful, Ruby. Thank you so much for that. But what you think it should be more than $5?
Who, me?
Yeah.
For the refund?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh, I was joking. That was a joke I
Okay.
was making. It's
Oh,
ridiculous that they charge $50 for Nintendo Switch Online, but you get $5 off. Like, I'm trying to think of like something pathetic, like, okay, spend over $100 on digital products, we'll give you $2 back. You know, like,
Third time's a charm. Thank you so much, Ruby Hoove. Another gifted membership, although I don't see. Oh, there it is. It was just.
I'm not mad at you. Received the.
Yeah, it was just running a little bit behind on the platform. How cool is that? And look, you gotta love anybody whose icon is a good boy. Just saying. So thank you
like
so
the
much
doggy.
for that. Yeah, thank you so
okay.
much for that, Ruby Hoove.
Now, I am going to say this in all seriousness, getting away from this. I've never heard of people suing Nintendo for money. I have heard of people suing Sony, PlayStation for money, and they've won lawsuits. I received stuff from a lawsuit from Sony. Did you know that?
I did not.
It had something to do with the PlayStation Network being down or something, and basically as compensation, Sony gave me a choice of 2 free digital games.
Okay.
And they had to be from this certain list, but I got a couple of free digital games. I didn't even know this lawsuit was going on, but apparently anyone that had been part of the PlayStation Network at a certain amount of time, because of the lawsuit, they gave you a couple of free games. Now, I don't really know what it was about. Maybe it was because the service got disrupted. Of course, at that point, I don't know what the trouble was because Sony wasn't charging for PlayStation Network at that time. So, I don't know. Oh, what is that? One for each of you. Look at that.
She did a $2 super chat just to say a buck for each of us. Thanks so much there, Ruby Hoove. You are incredibly generous. I think you are the producer of the show for the
Oh,
night.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, I'm trying to figure out how they're going to argue this, though. Now, there is the whole thing with the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan. Cost is a bit cheaper over there than it is in the rest of the world, but I think, and I don't know if that was due to a quote-unquote tariff situation, or maybe it's because the Japanese wouldn't pay over $400 for a game console like some Americans were on day one. I'm not saying anything.
Well,
or at least for a Switch, I should say.
I'm sorry, but there does come a point where you've got to say, is this a fair price? Do I really want it this bad? Honestly, Netter and I have talked about that too, with some of the things that I want and so forth, and I'll look at something and go, I don't feel good about the price, and she'll, say, well, I can make it happen for you, and I'm like, no, I'm going to pass on this one because this is just ridiculous.
It's too much.
Or
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's like, can this wait till next payday or something?
Yeah, if it's something that I really do want. I mean, but yeah,
I mean, we
sometimes you
just-
got to make your choices. You just gotta make your choices.
we just dropped some change on a new computer for Troy, so
Yeah,
it's like, honey, you
yeah.
don't get any more presents for a while.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm looking at this situation going, I have a lot of work now ahead of me. I've got to swap out computers. I've got to get the new one up and running and get the new filming location going. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, well, it should be interesting then when you get it all done, though.
I hope so. I really do. I hope it's everything I have envisioned. I believe it will be.
Now, I did want to make mention, though, that what do we have going on here about the thing? The thing that bothered me about the Switch 2, though, was the fact that Nintendo decided to brick people's consoles at random if they didn't like, you making a crude joke or something. And I'm like, dude, this is hardware I purchased.
Yeah.
I mean, at the worst, they should suspend you for a week or a month, but don't.
I'll
brick
tell
the
you, that
entire
should be a
customer.
lawsuit right there. That should be a lawsuit.
That's what I
right
don't
there.
understand. Like,
I mean,
they've
that
done
would be
worse
like
things.
that would be like if I buy a car and then I say something on social media about how I don't like the car, and they send someone to slash your friggin' tire. No, it's worse than that. They send somebody to pour sugar in your gas tank. You know,
Exactly.
that's not legal.
Refund lawsuit against Nintendo. Nintendo's opponents argue that the company benefited from the reduction or elimination of these tariffs without passing the savings on the
Yep.
buyers. The complaint asserts that Nintendo pricing structure included the tariff costs, which were subsequently refunded at the company level. Plaintiffs allege that this created an unjust enrichment scenario, as Nintendo retained money that should have been returned to the customers. Okay,
Yep.
so let's say this is actually what Nintendo did. Could Nintendo argue they were, well, we've been planning to release it back to the customers? We were just making plans to do that,
No.
and then they could just do it.
No, because you should have done it. You didn't do it. It required a lawsuit to make it happen. Don't tell me coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's too late when the lawsuit comes about.
Under potential implications for consumers in the industry observers note that Nintendo tariff refund lawsuit could involve millions of dollars if the court rules in favor of the plaintiffs. Nintendo's product lineup, including handheld and home consoles, has constantly sold well in the United States, increasing the potential scale of claims. The plaintiffs are seeking class action status, which would allow all affected consumers to potentially receive compensation. It's weird. I won't be getting any compensation, though, because I've not really bought any Nintendo products that have had these huge increases. Oh, wait a minute. What if this is the Amiibos? The plastic things that they started rose the prices on, which I said I'm not paying that for those.
Yeah,
They
probably.
went from $16 to like $30 and $40 in some case. I'm like, I'm not doing that. It's like consumer advocacy and transparency. Consumer advocacy groups have expressed interest in the case, emphasizing transparency and how companies handle government-imposed costs. They argue when companies receive financial benefits from tariff changes, consumers should have access to any corresponding savings. As the lawsuit progresses, it could influence how electronic companies and importers structures pricing. Responding to the government tariffs and adjustments, both sides are likely to provide detailed financial documentation and pricing records to support their claims. So if Nintendo loses this, what do they have to do? How would they refund the money? Would it be in the form of a store credit on your
I don't
Nintendo
know.
account?
That would come under the specifics of the ruling. So it's hard to predict that. But chances are they'll just treat it more like a class action lawsuit where, you have this much money you have to give, and the more people you have to give it to, the less each individual receives.
I gotcha. Because I like I said, they've gone after Sony on things like this, which I think another thing they went after Sony on, was it pricing or was that Steam? It was somebody they went after on pricing. Maybe it was Sony about digital pricing, and I know that's been a lawsuit too about overcharging, which I hadn't even noticed, but I tend to only buy things when they go on sale usually, especially if it's digital. But I don't know. But yeah, it's funny. I haven't bought anything published by Nintendo, I think, since this whole nastiness started. Of course, they haven't released much out on the Switch 1 that I even want.
That is the thing you can't put a dollar value on, and that's the loss of revenue because of lost customers. I'm sorry. I was, as I was getting my computer and talking with the sales guy there, was talking to his sales manager too, and another customer who happened to, used to work in sales. I said, you cannot downplay how important, connection with the customer is. You can cover over a multitude of sins through diplomacy. What is diplomacy? It's the art of telling someone to go to hell and making them look forward to the trip. Seriously.
I like that.
I don't think enough businesses understand that, and because there's actually, I'll quote something else. This is from Star Trek. I can't remember off the top of my head which Ferengi rule of acquisition it is, but the customer is worth his weight in latinum. Treasure him. And that is really how you have to, if you want to be in business, you have to treasure your customers as if they are the most important thing, because they are your business, literally.
I feel like these days a lot of businesses and companies, they take the customer for granted, and I think they're focused on the shareholders, not the customers. But I'm sorry, I'm not paying $70 for a Super Mario Galaxy Remaster collection. You put that
look
out
at what's
$60.
happening to Hollywood too. They've spent over a decade abusing the audience,
Oh,
calling
yeah.
them all kinds of horrible names because they didn't like the product, and then they're surprised when they don't come back the next time, and now they're going out of business, literally.
Yeah. So it's
So it's true in all areas of business, especially in entertainment, because again, entertainment is discretionary dollars. You don't need that game to live. You don't need to go see that movie to live. You know, I'm better off spending that money on my mortgage, my car, my food. You know.
I don't know, man. What if Nintendo? What if they win and they have to pay out, and then they said, now we're going to increase the price of the games by $20? How do you like them apples? Har har.
Well, good luck to you ever selling another one again. You know.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't think the Switch 2 is doing as well as the Switch 1, but frankly, it's still early yet, and it's hard to tell
Yeah.
because they had a good launch. I'm not going to deny that they had a good launch. I just I can't do it right now. Like I said, and well, we'll see. This is a bad time, at least in console gaming, because it's all the companies are flubbing. Xbox, maybe they're finally seeing the error of their ways and turning things around, but I'm not going to hold my breath there.
Right.
They did mention Game Pass is too expensive. That's a good sign. You know what else is too expensive? The price of the console is too expensive.
Yeah.
Some good news on the gaming front, actually.
There you go.
Stop Killing Games delivers absolutely incredible hearing in European Parliament. There was no Parliament member that wasn't responding positively. So this is, of course, an initiative, and here we go. It's amazing what a difference a little bit of time can make. 2 years after kicking off what looked to be a long-shot campaign to push back on the practice of shutting down server-dependent video games once they're no longer profitable, Stop Killing Games founder Ross Scott and organizer Moritz Katzner appeared in front of the European Parliament to present their case, and it seemed to go very well. The whole thing is a bit dry, as parliamentary committees tend to be, but the conversation is interesting. Consultant Daniel Odruska, for instance, said the Stop Killing Games movement is not trying to be unreasonable and isn't seeking eternal online support or retro reactivation for games that have already been shut down, just requirements to keep it from happening in the future. Games that were developed 20 years ago still function, Odruska said. Games that were developed 3 years ago, as it was mentioned before, don't. It's a design decision. It's a business decision.
Yeah.
That's true, because the fans could keep the stuff going if the company doesn't want to. If the company doesn't want to do the cost, they could just let the fans do it, right?
Thank you. I should have known that Lynn would come through for me with the reference. Rule of acquisition number 57. Good customers are as rare as latinum. Treasure them. Absolutely.
I think what happens is you end up getting customers that just become obsessed with being like a Nintendo fan or a Disney file or something like that, and eventually the company figures we can do whatever we want and they'll pay.
Right.
And I think that's sort of where we are.
And pride goes before a fall. That's all that I can say, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's happened before. Forget about the Wii U. But anyway, getting back to this though, let me see. At the end of the hearing, MEP member of the European Parliament, Anna Cavazzini, chair of the Committee on the Internal Market and Consumer Protection, thanked and congratulated the speakers for the great work you have done, and said she'd heard a lot of support, basically all the political groups, for your initiative. MEP Ilhan Kunchek shared similar statements reiterating the broad support for this relevant committee. So I believe these two gentlemen are Americans that went over there to Europe, because I think they have to go there. I don't know if they're getting anywhere over here, but I know that Ubisoft was challenging them among a lot of other companies, but I think they're winning on this. The mood during the post-hearing press conference on Twitch was clearly upbeat, absolutely incredible. Katzler responded when asked by Scott how he thought it went. I think that everyone that watched it might have noticed that there was no MEP that wasn't responding positively. Even the commission was pretty positive, I'd say. So this is good. He says, still says there's a long road ahead, but the momentum is real. All right. Yeah, they... Oh, and look at I'll just wrap by ending. The appearance for the EU committee caps off a strong start to 2026 for Stop Killing Games. In February, the org announced it's launching NGOs in the European Union and US to do a long-term counter lobbying on the issue of game shutdowns. And in March, it backed a lawsuit against Ubisoft filed by France's leading consumer association over the shutdown of The Crew, which is a game they made.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think this is good.
Agreed.
I mean, well, this is the big worry about games that are always online or digital or whatever. They'll lose their support and then they just disappear, and
Right.
you lose your money you bought because.
And here's the other thing. I think a lot of people in the gaming community are also saying, "Hey, look, allow if you're going to abandon something like this that people have paid for, at least allow the fan community to be able to host it
Right.
themselves and continue doing this." They're preventing that through, all kinds of IP protection type stuff. And it's like, that's incredibly unfair.
Now, I believe companies like Bethesda is very fan community friendly. I mean, they have their flaws, but I think they do let the fans do the mods and everything else. And
I would say that they are definitely, from what I've been seeing, they are kinder and more accepting of the fan community, the modders, than, for example, say EA Games, who actively go out of their way to piss off the modders and then throw them the bone by turning them into indentured servants. I don't even get me started on all of that.
Well, they were the same company that called when that what was it, that Veilguard game was coming out or whatever. And they were saying, the nerds in the caves will go out and buy it. Remember that?
Exactly.
Which they didn't do because it wasn't a good game. But
well, and it doesn't help when you hear that you're being talked about there. I say, you know what? Maybe I won't.
yeah, maybe I won't. I don't have to. Here's the thing. Not that I want to deny, because, of course, there's a lot of great things going in the indie scene, and there's still companies that put out good games otherwise, but I don't have to buy the AAA stuff.
Right.
I can play the stuff I have, or I can buy indie titles or stuff made by other companies than EA.
Right.
Okay, I have to give a little background on this. I actually talked a little bit with deleted scenes about it after the Sparkwood 21. So this was the big freak out this week. I was waiting to the end of the week to get the fully updated story. This is how this started out.
Mm-hmm.
People uncovered that games you purchased on the PlayStation Store required you to download the license again after 30 days.
Huh.
Or the game wouldn't work. I think a YouTuber named Spawnwave did something where he removed the battery or something from the PlayStation to remove something to do a test on it, and then it said the game that he had bought and paid for couldn't operate, wasn't on his system, and people started freaking out because they basically thought that this was DRM. I believe that stands for Digital Rights Management, and it was now being implemented on all purchases, and now you have to log in through your internet once a month to update your license, or you can't buy the game that you legally purchased and downloaded on your proprietary console. And people went nuts.
Good.
Yeah. Good.
Well, they should.
People were yelling at Sony. There were other people trying to defend Sony, trying to say this is not, let's wait to hear from them. And this was going on for days. And I read somewhere else that someone had theorized, and I believe this is what turned out to be correct, was that people had found a loophole in the refund where you could purchase a game and then ask for the refund, send it back, but then still manage to hold on to your license and basically have the game for free. Someone did basically a hack, and they were able to figure this out. And now I believe what has happened is Sony will require you to do after 30 days, you do a one-time re-download the license after the refund period is over, so people don't scam. And I think that's what's going on now. Fair enough. I still don't like it, but at the same time, okay, if this is only one time, yes.
But if that's the case, you need to make it very clear.
Yes.
I mean, with all the ways they work advertisements into your game,
Yes.
and
yes.
and suggest a new game and all this kind of stuff obnoxiously. You could use the same methods to make sure that people do this thing so they don't lose access.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And people are worried too that this is a beginning of a slippery slope.
It absolutely sounds like it is. Yeah.
Let me read the article though. But I get what Sony was doing. This was just to prevent piracy. I get it. They should have come out right away and just nipped this in the bud and explained to people what was going on. But let me read this article. For the past few days, the internet has been in turmoil over a new DRM. It's funny, Sony made some new announcement of a game coming on PlayStation Ever, and all the responses were, "What's the point? It's going to have DRM, and I'm not buying a DRM." And it was like a flood all over X.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's because you guys aren't responding to this. You guys have to know what's going on. Do you have PR people?
Yeah.
Okay, so for the past, I was getting angry too because I had purchased games on the PlayStation Store in April because they had the 7th Guest on sale, and I picked that up, and because it's actually better on the PlayStation 4 than the Switch, and it was on sale, so I said, okay, I'll pick it up, and I haven't downloaded it yet, and I was like, do I not update my PlayStation 4 forever because I'm worried about this DRM? But anyway, for the past few days, the internet has been in turmoil over the new DRM policy for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games that supposedly force you to check in online every 30 days without an official statement. Speculation only intensified with many jumping to conclusions. Yeah, people were flipping out.
Yeah.
Some were trying to figure out how the licensing worked under the new hood, but we finally have a concrete answer now from Sony itself. Speaking to GameSpot, an SIE rep clarified that a one-time online check-in is required to confirm the game's license, after which no further check-ins are required. That means any digital game you download remain playable even without an internet connection after 30 days. It just needs the initial check-in to convert the temporary license into a permanent one. While the spokesperson didn't say why that was necessary, we have a pretty good idea, courtesy of Does It Play, who told Kotaku that it might have to do with a refund scam. Basically, people would buy a game from the PlayStation Store website, rip its license file, refund the game, but transfer the license file to an illegally acquired copy, allowing the game to bypass security restrictions and run as usual. So people figured out a way to rip off the digital games.
Right. And again, this is where diplomacy comes into it, right? All you got to do is tell people that. Be open about that and say, look, we've got this problem. People, will see that as fair. It's like, oh, okay, you're trying to that I can see that. If someone is pulling a scam, we want to, as a gaming community, you don't want to see that happening either, right?
I mean, keep in mind that a lot of the games I buy digitally are these smaller titles that never get physical releases, like the indie games and things like that. Sometimes they do get physical, and I always try to buy physical when I can. But if it's like under 20 or even under 10, I'll pick a game up. It's not that. I always figured
Goat Simulator.
Yeah, like Goat Simulator. Exactly.
Goat Simulator, yes. I got Goat Simulator and all the add-ons. Yes, I have Goat Simulator on everything. And I was actually playing it last night because I hooked my Switch up again, and I have it on there. And you know what?
Isn't that fun?
I went to someone's house, and I just started messing with them, and it says, "Don't you be dancing, you have to die." And it's like, and I see these arcade machines, and I was like, I'm knocking those over. I bet those cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah.
It's a game. The entire point of the game is just you going around and destroying public property. But I love it when I find the protesters. The protesters.
Yeah.
You know them. I don't know what they're protesting. I don't care. I just started.
It doesn't matter. It's just fun to mess with them. Exactly.
I don't know. Save the spotted owl or whatever it is. Or the weasel, the pine weasel.
The pine weasel. Yeah, exactly.
But the license files will be only generated once the game starts downloading, but Sony's policy dictates you can no longer refund a game once that happens, even within a 4-day return window. So bad actors use the PlayStation website instead, which will issue the license on a jailbroken console without a no refund use. The new DRM policy is specifically designed to combat such activity. Okay, that's fine. Just say it was changes due to our refund policy. I mean, to be fair, I think it's good that they offer a refund policy. They didn't used to do that.
True.
Like, you have 2 weeks to refund a game. Now, you can't hadn't played it for like 10 hours, they won't refund your game. But like if you downloaded it, made a mistake, said, "Oh, I didn't really want this," if you played it for like a minute, or if you just didn't download it all, they'll usually give you a refund. And I've refunded some games. You know what I refunded?
How do they know how do they know how long you've played it?
Because you are always going, especially if it's like a digital thing that you're doing through Steam. They keep track of. I
Yes.
mean, I can look up the statistics to see.
Yeah.
You don't want to know how many hours I've been playing Fallout 4. You don't.
What's funny you mentioned this, because guess what game I had gotten a refund on? I got a refund on Fallout 4 because I decided I didn't want it, because you know what? I found a digital copy with all the DLC, I mean a physical copy with all the DLC on Amazon for actually less money. And I was like, I'm just going to buy that because it's physical. Hopefully it's all on the disc, but it doesn't matter. It's still cheaper. And I got it that way. But Sony didn't give me any problem because I hadn't played the game and I was still near from minimum. They refunded my money, and that's fine. And I got the game as a physical edition instead.
Sure.
Because if I can do that, I'll do that. So this was the big scare this week. I am going to say the PR on this was very bad. They should have gotten right in front of this, because I was trying to give Sony some. It's funny, in some ways they
benefit of the doubt.
My least favorite of the big three, but at the same time, I am going to be honest. I have to be honest here and say that I think out of the big three, they are the best at handling the digital thing, because they at least allow you to have a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5, and both can be a primary console. And then any other systems you have to be satellite consoles, which still bothers me. I tried doing the satellite thing with the Xbox One S because I had gotten the higher end model, and then it's like you have to be connected online at all times to play your digital games on a satellite console. In fact, if that only required a sign in for like every 30 days for the satellite console, I'd say, okay, that's fine, because I have the games downloaded on the primary. And then my brother's Xbox One ended up dying, so I said, here, I reformatted the Xbox One S, just take it. I don't need it as a satellite because it's useless. If I have to have it connected online all the time, and I get an internet or interruption, which has been known to happen even while I'm streaming right now,
Right.
So if that happens during a game, that sucks. It's like no.
So that's brutal. That was
awful.
Brutal.
That's how they do satellite systems on the Xbox. I could see if you had to sign in like once a week or something, but like during the game, like it has to be connected at all times. Yes, I know, Nate. I know. Listen, I don't own any modern consoles at the moment because, frankly, I've not been impressed with any of them. But they still release games on the stuff I own. So, and if it's an indie game or a boomer shooter, of course, there's only one boomer shooter left that I really want, and that's Sin, the Sin remastered that's coming out. But unless, of course, they start remastering some of those old adventure games, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Like,
see, this is the funny thing too, because we're always complaining about remakes and reboots when it comes to films, but in games we're like, please, we want these things.
Well, it's funny you mention that, because I'll be honest with you, growing up, I always saw game sequels. I didn't look at games the same way I'd look at movies or TV shows, because basically you look at a game and like I get The Legend of Zelda on the Nintendo 64 Ocarina of Time, and then I get the sequel, Twilight Princess, on the Nintendo GameCube and Wii. But basically, I kind of looked at every one of those Zelda games as, this is just really, I know it's a new story and new place and stuff, but it's basically just a remake. I've always seen games as sort of just remakes when they do sequels. Like they're finding what worked in the prior version, seeing if they can expand on it and make it better. And even when it was a sequel, I still saw it as a remake. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
So.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to this might be of interest to you, or maybe not. Do you see what that is?
Oh yeah, it's a Commodore 60. Well, it's a handheld version of a Commodore 64.
Instead of the power of the sun in the palm of your hands, it's the power of the Commodore 64 in the palm of your hands.
Oh, it's something, yeah.
I was quoting from Spider-Man 2. Remember the Doc Ock?
Yes.
Blaze Entertainment, company known for its Evercade handhelds and Super Pocket systems. They're the ones that made those pocket things I got you, the Atari one and the Taito one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They announced a new handheld gaming device based on the Commodore 64 and Spectrum computers called the C64 and Spectrum. I'm curious, when you were growing up, did you know about the Spectrum computer?
I I think I was dimly aware of it, but I had no experience with it
Was
at all.
it not released in North America? Was it only a European thing? Because I'm wondering if it was
I
only
don't
in
remember.
England.
I remember seeing adverts for it, but I
Okay.
don't remember in under what circumstances that was.
Because I
You
heard it
know,
was
so
big in England, but I didn't know if it made it to the United States. Okay. But each of these devices can be a handheld with a DS and 3DS clamshell design that allows you to fold them shut while not in use, and they have 25 games on them. They'll cost $129.99 each for the standard edition, and there's a collector's edition that's also available. Each system has a 4.3 IPS screen with 800 to 480 resolution. You can use built-in controls or attach a keyboard and joystick to the back of each unit. Are you kidding me?
wow, that's kind of cool.
A micro SD slot is available in each system, which allows a person to add to the library by putting their own games on it. Yes, so Troy, I know that you have all your old Commodore 64 discs in a dusty box somewhere, I'm sure. Well, you can convert
Yeah,
those into...
that's probably very accurate. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that was sure. I'm just trying to do a wink, wink, and you can always make your own ROMs off of the software you own. Now, I'm not saying you go to some site and get those Commodore 64 ROMs and put them on the SD card that way. Don't do that.
I wouldn't have to. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
No, but I'm joking. I'm just saying people will do that. But you can
Right.
add your own games with an SD card. That's kind of neat, actually. So, in fact, there probably have been a lot of indie games made on the Commodore 64. People in their spare time making their own games for it. But anyway, here are the full games that'll be on the Commodore 64 that are included. See if any of these ring a bell, just yell. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Aztec Challenge. Boulder
It
Dash.
sounds- Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
go ahead.
think I know
Aztec
those.
Challenge?
I don't think so. No.
No Aztec Challenge? Okay. Druid?
Mm-hmm. Wait, that sounds familiar. I don't remember, but yeah, it sounds familiar.
Encounter
Oh, is that the full name? No, I don't know that one.
Galencia.
Yes, I know that one.
Okay. Hunter's Moon Remastered.
Yeah, I don't know that one. Yeah,
Ice Guys.
some of these are pretty obscure. I don't know that one.
I'm
either.
also wondering, too, Blaze, this is an English company first and foremost. They do ship things. I mean, I buy stuff from them all the time in North America, but they are an English-based company. I'm wondering if they're thinking what was popular in England rather than what was popular in the United
Possibly.
States. But it's Magic 2, Night and Grail, Crackout, Lee. Oh, I think Lee is the Bruce Lee game. Yes. Okay. They had to name it Lee instead, though, because of course they can't
Sure.
get money. Metal Warrior Ultra, Million Molly, Nebulous, Paradroid. I've heard of Paradroid. A Pig Quest, Planets Golf, Sam's Journey, Shadow Switcher, Speedball 2, Bruto Deluxe, Spherical, Squish'em, Steel Ranger, X Out, Yeti Mountain. Where the heck is Impossible Mission?
Oh, well, and the other thing too is I would say if these are popular, they may expand.
And plus you can add your own games with an SD card,
Right.
which I'm sure isn't hard to do. Here's what kills me, though. The Spectrum has Archon, the Light and the Dark. Why isn't that on the Commodore 64 system?
I was gonna say, yeah, Archon. That's one I know. There you go.
I was looking at the ZX Spectrum version of Archon. It's like, wow, this is like not as good as the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Because we had the Atari computer version, but it's similar to the Commodore 64 version.
Right.
Let's see. Avenger, Way of Tiger, Bounder, Bugaloo. I don't know what any of these things are. I don't think... Nightmare Rally? Sinclair City? I don't know. Zynaps?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is the only handheld Blaze Entertainment is preparing. Okay. They're also making the rare one. Yes, I know. Okay. So, I don't know. I thought this was kind of interesting. I mean, let's be blunt. If you don't like the games on here, you can probably very easily add more games with an SD
Sure.
card. So, I think it's neat that they offer that. But the chat is not hopping. Are you not interested in having the power of the Commodore 64 in the palm of your hand? You know how much that would cost you back in the day?
Well, that's true.
Actually, maybe
You got a
adjusted for
point
inflation,
there.
it's the same price. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know, though. I think it looks kind of neat. I don't know. We'll see. If you wait till Black Friday, it might go on sale, too. You never know. All right, so. Spectrum, I don't know. That's
you're already looking forward to Black Friday.
I look forward to Black Friday as soon as the prior year's Black Friday ends. That's how sick I am. Okay, it's the only time anything goes on sale anymore. I have to tell you, it's
True.
really bad out there. And this past Black Friday wasn't great. Okay, I brought this up and I wondered why now after just looking at this thing, but there will be a Lego Sega Genesis / Mega Drive Lego console set launches June 2026. No, this cannot play games. It's just a replica, all right? Yes, set 40926 is officially described as highly detailed model bringing together the best creativity and love for retro gaming. The Mega Drive is more your thing. You can also customize this non-functioning brick build to make it look like that model, complete with detachable controllers and decorative stickers. The set will be available on June 1st, priced at $39.99. Includes 479 pieces. I hate to say this. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this is kind of ugly. I'm not trying to be mean. And the Genesis itself was a sweet-looking game console, very slick, very looked like a piece of entertainment equipment from like the late '80s. I don't think this looks good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you.
All right. Save Ferris, someone is saying. Remember saying Save Ferris.
Don't know what prompted that, but yeah, absolutely, I'm with you.
Am I getting up-to-date comments here? Okay. It said 9 seconds. That was 9 minutes. All right. Let's move on to... Speaking of suing, I should have had the Nintendo article last. I could have jumped into this suing. Paramount sued by subscribers over Warner Brothers Skydance deals. What do you think of this? Let me read the article. All right.
Yeah.
A lawsuit has been filed challenging Paramount's $110 billion mega deal for Warner Brothers Discovery, the opening legal salvo over the merger that will reshape Hollywood. Paramount subscribers in a lawsuit filed on Thursday in California federal court alleged the acquisition will substantially reduce competition in streaming, news, and theatrical distribution in violation of antitrust laws. They seek a court order blocking the merger and one winding Skydance's acquisition of Paramount. The deal will consolidate Paramount's ability and incentive to raise prices, reduce output, narrow slates, reduce quality, and worsen consumer-facing terms, including through control of distribution, exclusivity, windowing, and licensing, says the complaint. The lawsuit is believed to be the first legal action targeting the merger that would combine two of Hollywood's legacy studios. Consumers represent one of the several groups that could pose an obstacle to consummating the deal. That's an interesting use of words.
Exactly.
Which include the Justice Department, state attorneys general, and the European Union, and the Federal Communications Commission. I forgot your past agree on this too, don't they?
Yes, I've been saying that all along. Keep in mind, this isn't just about their relationship with the current administration here in the United States. This is an international situation.
Let's see. Paramount Warner Brothers is not a done deal, California Attorney General Rob Bonta said in February, hours after Netflix declined to raise its bids for the David Zaslav-led company, positioning Paramount as the winner of the bidding war. These two Hollywood titans have not cleared regulatory scrutiny. The California Department of Justice has an open investigation. We intend to be vigorous in our review. Paramount said in a statement that the lawsuit is without merit. It added the combination of Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery will create a stronger competitor that is well positioned to serve as a champion for creative talent and consumer choice. In the lawsuit, consumers argued that the deal will substantially lessen competition in streaming and cable TV. The combined entity would have the third largest streaming platform behind Disney and Netflix, with $17.9 billion flowing through from its streaming businesses, according to the complaint, which notes that Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount ranked third and fourth, respectively, in top streaming services in 2024. The lawsuit claims that the company would have the second largest streaming service platform by subscriber count, though it doesn't appear to account for consumers that have both services. Paramount CEO David Ellison has framed the deal as one that will bolster competition in a large battle against tech giants like Netflix, Amazon, and Apple. He pledged to release at least 30 movies a year theatrically with a minimum of 45-day theatrical windows. Hold on, though, but I don't know, though. Do you think this would increase? Because I think he did mention a while ago that he was planning to basically Paramount Plus, is it still called Paramount Plus, and HBO Max would just combine into one service, right?
Right.
I think I
And
did
honestly,
hear him say that.
I think it's a little bit hasty to kind of get ahead of that until it's actually happening. You know, usually with situations like that, they'll find a way to sweeten the pot for, for people and say, hey, this is happening, so this is the deal we're going to do going forward. If you had this, it's going to be this, and we're going to offer you this if you had that, and this will be a new bundle package that you can option. And I don't really see what the issue is here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just looking for anything. I mean, who are these subscribers, right?
Right. I mean, we're the general subscribers so upset about what might happen someday. Usually, your average consumer isn't going to be complaining about something they saw in the news and how that might affect their, at one time, cable bill, now streaming service bill, 6 months to a year from now. They're looking at their current bill, and that's what they're complaining about.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's. I guess this is just.
Honestly, I think this is probably people that don't want to see this deal go through and is saying, "Hey, we're going to do a class action lawsuit. You want in on this class action lawsuit? Oh, can I get money out of it? Yeah, maybe I'll get on that. Sure.
I'm curious if this does go through, what Paramount's going to do with the Gunverse.
We've been talking a bit about that. Every time we see, a little bit of shadow on the cave wall, we talk about it a little bit during Liquid Lunch. So it's all speculative. But let's face it, the Gunverse isn't doing real great. So whatever happens, something's got to give there.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to psychological thriller Sender, starring Britt Lauer, Jamie Lee Curtis, Reyes Seaborn, and David Dastmalchian, launching in Cannes market with Concourse. I have this in here because I've come to the conclusion that I'm a big fan of the actor David Dastmalchian. This is a face that you have seen in movies before. He was in Dune. I think he was the medical guy that was in the room with Baron Harkonnen before he got liquefied by whatever that poison spray was sprayed out of. He's a guy that would play all these bit parts. I think he shows up in The Dark Knight. He's always in these movies, but unfortunately, I feel like he never gets starring roles. And I think if Hollywood were healthy, and this was like 20, 30 years ago, he'd be like a De Niro or an Al Pacino being in like these realistic crime-type movies, and we just don't see him getting anywhere. But I think slowly we're seeing him show up in more prominent roles. So I figured I'd just read this article. But
sure.
Written directed by Russell Goldman, in his feature debut, Sender stars Britt Lauer and Jamie Lee Curtis, who also produced under her Com Pictures banner. The ensemble cast includes Reyes Seahorn, David Dastmalchian, and Baryshnikov, and Yukarsh Ambudkar.
I'm sorry, I can't help you with those, man. Good, you did.
I
fine
mean, they sound Eastern European. I'm not trying to be rude. It took me a while to figure out how to pronounce Dastmalchian. Okay,
yeah. Hell, people can't even pronounce my name, so I'm not gonna. Anything.
People have mispronounced my last name, and it's like one
right?
of the simplest names. Okay. The film follows a woman whose life begins to fracture after she begins receiving a series of increasingly invasive and disturbing packages from an unknown sender. As per the synopsis, blending psychological horror with grounded character drama, Sender explores themes of surveillance, control, and identity in a hyper-connected world. That sounds interesting. Okay, I'm already kind of intrigued. The project first gained industry traction when its screenplay landed on the blacklist and expanded from Goldman's earlier short Return to Sender. Sender is exactly the kind of film that feels tailor-made for the current market, said Matt Schroeder, CEO of Concourse Media. It delivers a clear, high-concept hook with a sophisticated edge, anchored by an incredible cast led by Britt Lauer, Ray Seaborn, and Jamie Lee Curtis, and David Dastmalchian. Mention his name.
Yeah.
Okay, the response out at SXS South by Southwest only reinforced what we saw early on, that this is a smart, gripping psychological thriller with a real commercial upside internationally. We're excited to bring to Cannes and build momentum with buyers worldwide. I'm curious about this movie myself, so I'll be keeping an eye on it. But like I said, I do like him a lot. I want to see him in more roles. But he was in Late Night with the Devil. That was like his first, like,
Oh,
finally
okay.
got a lead role in that when he was playing the sleazy talk show host. But,
Gotcha.
oh, welcome Jamie Lee Simmons. Okay.
Hey, good to see you.
All right, here. Let's move on to... this one looks interesting, too. John Travolta movie, November 1963, about JFK assassination, acquired by Ketchup Entertainment.
Okay.
Who will one day be owning Disney. I'm sorry. I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm joking.
I don't
Let's
know.
not-
I think there's going to come a day when Disney's going to end up getting sold because it's so depreciated. Everyone will be bidding on it.
So, Ketchup Entertainment has picked up North American rights to John Travolta crime thriller November 1963. A 1,000-year theater release for Q4 is being planned. Directed by two-time Oscar-nominated filmmaker Roland Joffe. The Killing Fields, The Mission. Killing Fields, that's an older movie.
Yeah, it is.
The film reframes the assassination of John F. Kennedy through the eyes of those operating in the shadows, where power is negotiated, not elected. Nick Solozzi, nephew of Sam Giansana, wrote the script and is producing the film with Kevin DeWitt of Mind's Eye Entertainment, Bonnie Giansana, daughter of Sam Giansana, is also attached as an executive producer. His story comes from his uncle Pepe Giansana, who was with his brother Sam Giansana during the crucial time. November 1963, based on a true story, unfolds within the intense 48-hour real-time period surrounding the assassination of JFK, shedding new light on the Chicago outfit's alleged involvement. That's why I thought you might find this interesting, because of the Chicago connection.
I didn't know that anyone was doing a movie about it, but yeah, I've heard a lot about this. Yeah.
The script draws from first-hand accounts, including direct insights from the family of crime boss Sam. Am I saying the name right? Giansana? Have you heard that name before?
It's Giancana.
Giancana, my mistake.
Yeah.
Two-time Oscar nominee, Golden Globe and Emmy winner John Travolta stars as Johnny Rosselli, a key figure in organized crime in the outfits man on the West Coast and Vegas. Manny Patinkin plays Anthony Accardo, a powerful and calculating head of the Chicago outfit, considered one of the most powerful crime bosses in America at the time. Dermot Mulroney is Chucky Nicoletti, Sam Giancana's bodyguard and the outfit's most notorious South Side hitman. Robert Carlyle portrays Jack Ruby, the chameleon associate of organized crime, and Jefferson White is playing Lee Harvey Oswald, the patsy that was set up by the outfit. Yikes, this sounds interesting, huh?
Yeah. Just the personal angle on this. Sam Giancana, his daughter, Antoinette Giancana, my mom met her.
Oh, wow.
At a funeral for, let's just say, a mutual friend.
Did this mutual friend have a untimely end, if you catch my meaning, or maybe just
very
natural?
much so? The
Yikes.
kind of ending that we found out about it not because the family told us, but because we heard about it on the news.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So, ugly situation, I guess.
But yeah, sometime maybe I'll off air. Maybe I'll tell you that story.
That's fine. Maybe I'll tell you some of my father's cop stories
Sure.
from the other side of things.
Absolutely.
But, writer,
The Irish side, right?
well, no, my my dad was a police officer. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Of course, he didn't deal with anything like that, but he said once he had overheard the tapes, because he wasn't involved with that person, but he overheard tapes, and he said, "Wow, these guys treat the police like they're just another gang or mob outfit."
Exactly.
That's how they look.
And I'll be honest with you, most cops behaved like
Some
that.
of them did, yes.
No, they did, and they still do.
Some were offered things like I'm not going to get into detail on the air. Okay, I know some things. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Writer producer Nick Solozzi said the essence of why we're doing this is that it came from Sam Giancana's brother Pepe, who was in the room with Sam during these 2 days. This story previously focused on the Chicago outfit's involvement with setting up the assassination, including the second shooter sent in as a fail-safe patsy backup to carry out the mission.
Mm-hmm.
Is this stuff real?
Yes.
Wow, because
Whether or not it can be proven, that's a whole other ball of wax.
because it reminds
But,
me of some other
this
recent events where these people tend to look like patsies, maybe, but we don't know.
exactly. Yeah. None of this is new. This is what you're. I didn't know this was on the horizon, but this is all stories I've already heard.
It sounds interesting. This one might be. That's why I'm saying tonight's not all bad. We might actually have some interesting movies coming out.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
these last couple movies sound interesting to me. And let's move on to the next one. We have we have Greta Gerwig's Narnia movies to 2027 with wide theatrical release from Netflix. So this is interesting, at least on the one hand, that Netflix seems to be taking the whole thing of trying to act like a studio more seriously because they've not taken theatrical releases seriously, and some people don't understand why, because that Frankenstein movie they did probably would have done very well at the box office.
It might look that way, but I've got a different take on this.
All right.
We'll get to that.
All right. Netflix is moving the release date of its anticipated Narnia movie from director Greta Gerwig, with the film now getting a wide theatrical release, a first for the streamer. Gerwig's adaptation of the sixth book in C.S. Lewis' fantasy series, The Magician's Nephew, was set to be released in IMAX theaters this Thanksgiving before heading to the streamer on Christmas Day. The movie will now be getting a release on February 12th, 2027, and then will hit on Netflix April 2nd, 2027. Sneak previews of the film will begin on February 10th, 2027, only in IMAX. With its prior release date, the studio was planning an exclusive 2-week IMAX global run with 90 countries across 1,000 auditoriums ahead of the movie dropping on the service. With its new release date comes the news that Netflix is planning a wide theatrical release for the film, which will see Narnia stay in theaters for 49 days before hitting the service. Netflix has released a handful of its films in theaters for a limited run, including Knives Out films from Rian Johnson and other awards hopefuls. Narnia will be the biggest theatrical debut release on the streamer to date. Netflix did have a wide release for the sing-along version of K-pop Demon Hunters this past summer, but only for a few days and long after the movie had debuted on the streaming service. The film's delay until 2027 creates an opportunity to give Narnia an expanded wide release with full theatrical window. We support Greta and Netflix in pursuing that opportunity and are pleased IMAX could help facilitate, said IMAX in a statement. That wasn't Boomer saying that. Okay. On its new date, Narnia will go up against The Nightingale, starring Elle and Dakota Fanning. Other early February 2027 releases include the Glen Powell comedy from Judd Apatow, The Comeback Kid. While The Magician's Nephew is the sixth book in Lewis' series, it is the first chronologically and focuses on the creation of Narnia. The movie stars Emma Mackey, Carey Mulligan, Meryl Streep, and Daniel Craig. The young cast includes David McKenna and Beatrice Campbell. Mark Gordon, Amy Pascal, and Vincent Sieber are among the producers of the adaptation, along with Gerwig. Patricia Witcher, Douglas Gresham, and Melvin Adams are executive producers. I didn't see Tilda Swinton's name in there, so I'm assuming she will not be reprising the White Witch, which means it may not be related to those other Narnia movies in any way, shape, or form.
I'm
That's
certain
what I'm thinking.
it's not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Your thoughts?
I have absolutely nothing, no interest in anything that Greta Gerwig does.
No, I'm not looking forward to this either, but I just thought it was curious, though, that apparently it does seem like Netflix is trying a theatrical window on something, which I haven't seen them do.
And this is where I'm going to say it might look that way, but I think you're looking at it all wrong.
Okay, well, that's
I
fine.
think that especially, okay, I don't think this movie's going to do well. I think it's going to be eschewed by its target audience.
Probably.
And by it getting a wider theatrical release, that means it's going to bomb even more. And I think Netflix knows it. So that is why they are pivoting into the wider theatrical release so that they can then say, look, we did a theatrical release and look at what happened to us. So they can justify not doing theatrical releases going forward. There.
Ooh, I didn't think about it that way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a test run. This is being set up to fail so they can prove a point about how they are correct.
That's my
not
theory.
doing
That is
theatrical
just my
releases.
theory based on nothing other than, skepticism of these companies.
Because keep in mind, the last Narnia movie did not do well at the box office, and that was Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I did like it, but it didn't do well at the box office. And I'm debating if, especially with behind-the-scenes stuff, things I've heard so far, I got a bad feeling about this adaptation.
I tend to agree with you very, very strongly on that regard, yes.
Okay, so we will have to wait and see. Because they're talking about doing TV shows too, and I'm like, what do you mean do a TV show? Are they going to do? Oh no, of course they would readapt. They would readapt *Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe* as a TV series, because you can't compete. How would you do that though? Never mind. I'm moving on. I'm moving on. Okay, let's just move on. You like that picture?
That is nightmare fuel. That is absolute freaking nightmare fuel.
What? It's cute.
Something tells me this is not actually a kid's movie.
It is not. Okay. I don't know how I quite feel about this movie because, okay, the set of a kid's television show becomes a nightmarish hellscape for its host in the trailer for Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round.
Wow.
And it looks
That's
like
a hell of a title.
It looks like it's aping a bit on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I'm like, well, I hope they don't make the character like Fred Rogers because he's kind of a living saint, or was a living saint at the time. So it's like I don't. Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round begins streaming exclusively on Screambox on May 19th, 2026. I should see if Screambox has any deals going on, considering Shudder won't go down in price. Okay, in the film, after a mysterious bout of amnesia, a beloved children's television host struggles to piece together his fractured memories, only to find his once cheerful puppet co-stars behaving with sinister intent. As reality unravels, the line between performance and nightmare begins to blur. So the new trailer introduces the puppet denizens tormenting a TV show host on set. Move over, buddy. Monkey might be even more sadistic. Michael Gillo, the screenwriter behind Dark Harvest and Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, stars in the movie from writer-director Aidan Leary, making his feature debut. Leary co-wrote the screenplay with C.R. Thompson. The horror film marks the first project on the Terror Town genre slate from producer Joe Swanbag and Yale Productions. I am blown away by what the team has accomplished. Leary and Thompson immediately announced themselves as a bold new talent. Executive producer Nicholas Donnermeyer said previously, it's very rare to come across a debut feature that is so assured and precise in its execution. The film was a trip. I can't wait to see this with an audience. So what do you think of Monkey's Magic Merry-Go-Round, huh?
Honestly, I may want to actually see this. That is just I mean, that visual with the description, it's like, yeah, this sounds like something that might get the heart pumping a little bit, let's say.
Yeah. Reminds me of Willy's Wonderland, which is badly underrated. Oh, right, that's one with Nick Cage, right? Where he starts attacking the animatronics at like a Chuck E. Cheese or something, right? Yes, that's another one you probably missed out on, huh?
Yeah, I probably chalked it up to being a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of ripoff. So
okay, but it probably was.
Well, I mean, but it may be better than, I'm giving, making the assumption on,
Okay. But yeah, Netter, your thoughts on this?
I don't got nothing.
Okay, well maybe you got to see it to make a judge.
I was gonna say she's really not the target audience for this.
Yeah, I'm really not.
Let's just be honest.
They need to bring back the drive-in double feature and start showing these movies at drive-ins again. Just
right?
to throw this up on the big
I'd love
screen.
God, that would be nice. That would be so wonderful.
I absolutely loved the drive-in when we used to go.
Yeah.
It was just a fun date night.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got a double feature movie for cheap. You got to bring in your own food if you wanted to, or you got some places had a really great snack bar.
I really like the burgers that our drive-in had, to be honest. Yeah.
It's sad when you find a niche food that you like and then it disappears on you.
Oh yeah.
Used to go to this place in New Jersey that was had great hamburgers too, but I used to get onion rings as well. They had good onion rings too, but. All right, moving on to, I don't know if this is our final story of the night. Spider Noir is coming.
We got to help you out with. You have a hard time with this word. It's noir.
Spider
New.
Noir?
Say new R. Say it.
Noir. I got you. Thank you.
New R. Yeah. Noir.
Noir.
There you go.
Noir. Noir. I've always said Noir.
It's because he does not speak French.
Well, yes, that's
Noir.
true.
Is it French in origin?
It is a French. It literally means. It literally
Mais oui,
means.
c'est French.
It means dark, doesn't it? I believe it
I
means
think so.
dark.
What an image for me to come in on, Grady.
Yeah,
Oh,
next it's black.
Yeah.
he was thinking. I think he was talking about the puppets. But I did want to bring this up. They did release a new trailer for this week. I don't know if you got a chance to see it.
I didn't see it. No.
It's okay. It doesn't reveal too much, but it's critics have received screeners for Spider Noir.
Good.
We'll be bringing our review on May 22nd, and a couple of early social media reactions just swung online. Well, not me specifically, though. I guess I could because it's going to be on Prime streaming, and I get that. I think even you get that, don't you?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, you could watch it too, theoretically. Okay. Hailed as amazing and spectacular. Ha ha. Perhaps the biggest compliment is that the series is Spider-Man meets Batman, the animated series.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can kind of see that, given what Spider-Man Noir is. Yeah.
I'm kind of getting a vibe from it, actually. Yeah, so maybe they're right. This is all we have to share for now, but posts like this should only build further excitement for a show that's won fans over in a big way with recent trailers. When Spider Noir will live up to fan expectations is another matter. Sony doesn't exactly have the best track record with its recent live-action Spider-Man adjacent movies, but Phil Lord and Chris Miller's involvement has alleviated some of the concerns. With a few weeks to go until the review embargo lifts, any reactions seen between now and then are best taken with a pinch of salt. Still, this is a good start and points to Spider Noir being a worthy addition to the Spider-Man mythos. In related news, insider Cryptic 4K Qual has revealed Spider Noir's episode titles. Episode 1, Step Into My Office. Oh, is that like a PI thing?
Yes, and of course, it's a play on, Step Into My Web.
Oh, I see. Interesting. Episode 2, Tread Lightly. Episode 3, Double Cross. I'm liking this already. Mm-hmm. These titles sound neat. Episode 4, A Mistake I'll Never Make Again. Episode 5, Betrayal. Episode 6, Nightmare on a Gurney.
Wow.
Episode 7, Nobody's Hero. Episode 8, The Man in the Mask. This all sounds good.
Right?
Check out the first Spider Noir reactions in the X post below. This is from the article, of course. But Spider Noir is a live-action series based on Marvel Comics' Spider-Man Noir. It tells the story of Ben Reilly, Nicolas Cage, a seasoned, down-on-his-luck private investigator in 1930s New York who is forced to grapple with his past life following a deeply personal tragedy as the city's one and only superhero. The cast includes Lamorne Morris, Lee June, Karen Rodriguez, Abraham Papula, with Jack Houston and Brendan Gleeson. Guest stars include Lucas Haas, Cameron Britton, Carrie Christopher, Michael Kostroff, Scott MacArthur, John Mazel, Whitney Rice, Amanda Scholl, and Andrew Caldwell, Amy Aquito, Andrew Robbins. I'm sure we all know these actors. We've probably seen them. We just don't know their names. Like I said, we have to do that upcoming character actor stream at some point.
Yeah.
But Spider Noir is produced by Sony Pictures Television, exclusive for MGM Plus and Prime Video. So if you have either of those services, you'll get access to it. You know what's neat, though? You can watch it in black and white or in color.
Yeah, I kind of like that. The same is true with Tom Conkle's Trouble Is My Business. When you get the Blu-ray, you get both the black and white and color versions. Well, and you know why that is. It's not just to give you the option. These streaming services really don't like doing black and white, so they demand that you make it in color, but will allow you to make it in black and white as an option. That's why when Tom Conkle was doing Trouble Is My Business, he chose colors. His entire color palette was chosen thinking black and white, but knowing that he was still going to have to do a color version. Something else I wanted to say about Spider Noir. This is not a big deal. We always talk about, being faithful to the source material, blah blah blah, this and that. Not a lot of source material. This gives them a lot of room to fill in the blanks, so to speak.
Right.
His character was just introduced into the Spider-Verse, cartoon character,
Right.
voiced by Nicolas Cage. So in essence, he is reprising his role. However, he is playing Ben Reilly and not Peter Parker. He was the Peter Parker, Spider-Man of another universe. However, there's the Sony/Disney rights issue related to Peter Parker. That's why they changed it to Ben Reilly. So,
Oh,
yeah.
because they can't use the word Peter Parker or the word Spider-Man. Ah, are they going to call him? Oh, go ahead.
I don't know about the Spider-Man part. They just can't use Peter Parker.
I know they can't do that. Yeah.
But Ben Reilly, of course, references, Ben, is comes from Uncle Ben, and of course, I think Riley was it Riley like his mother's maiden name or something like that?
That makes sense. Yeah. So
I
maybe there
forget.
is some relation.
But there was that whole story, and again, what is one of the most reviled comics in the Spider-Man storyline, aside from Brand New Day, which that's another movie coming out. We'll talk about that later. The Clone Saga, right? And so it turns out there was a clone of Peter Parker, and when they resolved the discrepancy, the clone chose the name Ben Reilly. So there is a Ben Reilly out there. That makes a great alternate name for Disney to make use of for this Spider Noir character.
Do you know what I'm interested though? I'm interested if on this series, if you're gonna have, because the new trailer is like monsters attack police, and I'm like, are these supervillains in this
Probably.
universe? And are they like 1930s versions of like Electro and things like that, or are these different?
I sure hope so. Yes.
Because the one guy was electrocuting him, so I'm wondering if that's supposed to be whatever universes this version is of
Right?
Electro. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh gosh, I think this is going to be good. I really.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed on this because I think, and the thing is, both the black and white and color look good. They there's a different vibe when you watch either, though, but they both look good. And I think you're right.
Well, and this is it. I think it gives it a bit of a little bit of rewatchability, where you want to see it in whatever your preferred way is, and then go, you know what? I think I'll watch that the other way.
Yeah. So I think it's cool they're offering it. Maybe it's also a chance for the younger generation to see all the hoopla about black and white.
Yeah.
Black and white is a way to make movies, not just for the past, but for the present. I remember when I watched the movie Nebraska years ago that had Bruce Dern and Bob Odenkirk in it. And it was weird because you don't see a lot of black and white movies made now. And it took place in modern times. So I was able to see modern America through a black and white lens. And it was interesting.
The other thing is the use of black and white in films since color has become available. The whole history of that is brilliant visual storytelling. I think the most obvious one, the first one that comes to most people's minds, of course, is The Wizard of Oz, right? Which all the real world, elements are in black and white. When she goes off to the fantastical land of Oz, it's all in color. Another great example of it is Schindler's List. The entire movie is in black and white, and then there is that one scene of that girl with the red
red shirt, red jacket. Yes, and you're following what happens with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie, but a hard watch sometimes. I'm trying to think though. Sin City did interesting things with black and white.
Sin City was another one.
But then they would mix color in certain spots. I noticed that with Sin City.
Yep.
So yeah.
And honestly, for as much as it's way overused, when done right, things like what Zack Snyder has done with desaturation is actually pretty good too. It's like nodding to black and white without actually being black and white. You know, just so when you think about like the Watchmen, or the 300. Remember, the 300 the comic was originally black and white. So, for him to do that desaturation, it's like, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, that works here.
Yeah.
Don't do that to Superman. That's stupid. But, I'll defend you when you do it right.
I could see a Batman movie in black and white, but not Superman. Superman's color.
Right.
Yeah, don't
exactly.
do that.
Although I think I'd still want to see, if you're going to do a Batman, desaturated the way, Zack Snyder did. Fine. But then you know what you do? You make the yellow emblem pop.
Yes, that's a good point. But like with Superman, I want like bright, vibrant colors, like Technicolor. That's what you have to have with Superman. I mean,
exactly
World of Tomorrow,
right.
Better Tomorrow. But anyway, Sin City was a great film, in my opinion. Oh, I'm a big fan of Sin City. I saw that in the movies when it came out. Big fan of that one. Caught the sequel years later too, but I don't know, man. It's I'm keeping my fingers crossed on Spider Noir because I think it's going to be it might be fun. Can we have fun? Can I have a decent superhero show? And I like the 1930s.
Can we be
setting.
entertained by our entertainment and enjoy our entertainment?
Plus, I tend to like movies like the 1930s hard-boiled, like 1940s hard-boiled detective stuff, like Philip Marlowe, Sam Spade, that sort of stuff. Even Mike Hammer, I'm a fan of those. So I'm looking forward to it. I have a question too about this character though. Does he have powers?
Yes, he does.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, I was sure because I part of me was wondering, does he just like use his? Because I forget the webs aren't. That's something Spider-Man invents. That's not how he doesn't have.
But now in the post-Tobey Maguire era, it is possible to have biological webbing too. So.
Yeah, this is true. They made fun of that in the what do you call it? The Spider-Man.
The one where they had the
special.
3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were like, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, how does that? They were all freaking out because they saw that he just produces.
Does it come out of other places too?
I think they might have asked that. I don't know. Yeah, they might.
They
have
did.
Asked that.
Yeah,
no, they did.
He does,
okay,
and
yes.
he goes, no, just the rest.
It was funny, yeah, because of course Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland, they just make their own webbing like in the comics. But yes,
Somebody tell me, because I have not seen the movie. I've only seen a bunch of the clips of these guys together.
Yeah.
But there is some great banter between the 3 of them.
Oh, it's really
and I'm
good.
I'm wondering if any or all of it was like if there was some improvisation that went on there.
It's possible. It's possible. It's really good seeing the 3 of them interact. In fact, it actually made me feel bad for the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man that like we never really got to see him shine except in that movie because I thought he's an interesting character I might have liked to have seen more of after seeing that movie. And he what's interesting though is the Tom Holland Spider-Man actually says, you know what? I never had brothers. Now I feel like I have brothers.
Yeah.
That's basically how he saw them, like they were his older brothers.
Which is pretty cool, yeah. And well, I mean, and let's face it, Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker gets a bit of a redemption arc there. And honestly, this idea of multiple universe Spider-Man things, they've done that going way, way back. In fact, the same thing when the whole Clone Saga happened, as terrible as that was, I'm like, well, I got to be honest. The idea of clones of Spider-Man have a lot of precedence going back, Yeah. So it does have its place. Just learn to tell good stories and understand when you're going to piss off the audience.
Yeah, just tell good stories. But this looks cool. It looks like it has that hard-boiled detective, almost like The Shadow. That's sort of what the vibe I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
More so than Batman, like The Shadow. Yeah, but there we go. Let's move on, and that brings us to a close.
Good. Because we got to get you all over to deleted scenes for his little sit down with Big Al. I understand.
Oh, excellent! Yeah, you got to tune in for Big Al. And then afterwards, you'll on your channel there'll be
Doctor Who. We're gonna wrap up the Censorites. Yep.
Okay.
It's gonna be some good stuff.
Cool. And then, of course, tune in the rest of the week. We're going to be all over the. Well, not all over the place. We'll be at our usual spots, but some good stuff. In fact, I like the theme you got going on for Tuesday with the mysteries, with everything being mystery related.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a 2nd. Nate says, "I'm sorry, but I actually agree with Sam Raimi. A broke kid who happens to be a genius can somehow scrounge together chemicals to make sophisticated webbing. The organic webs make more sense." That's fine, but we're talking about over 60 years worth of comic, canon. That's like saying, gee, I'm having a real hard time believing a man can fly and shoot laser beams out of his eyes. How realistic do you want these things to be? That's part of the problem with why we have what we're getting in a lot of these superhero movies. It is fantastic. Deal with it.
Did you know that was used as a what do you call it, as a game mechanic in the Spider-Man game on the Sega Genesis? During the level, you would have to take pictures of you fighting Doc Ock or something else, and then at the end of the level, you'd get money for those pictures of Spider-Man fighting, the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to use that money to replenish your webbing that would go down during the level.
That makes perfect sense. That totally sounds like a game mechanic. I totally get that. That makes perfect sense.
All right.
No,
but I have to say goodnight to everybody. Hello, Sashi again. Men with freaking laser beams. Dr. Evil, maybe.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dr. Evil, one of the greatest villains in cinema history. But
there was. I gotta tell you, you see this goofy stuff going by in your feed, and someone had done an AI little like vignette or whatever. I think it was supposed to be like, I don't know, like Fantastic Voyage or something like that, and it was like Raquel Welch or whatever as the captain of the sub, and there's like a shark outside the window, and of course she's got the in the frontage area there, deeply, interesting. And
yes, nothing wrong with that. Okay.
Everyone's making comments like, "Oh wait, there was a shark in that shot. I didn't even notice."
So funny.
And I put in quotes. I said, "I asked for sharks with frickin' laser beams, and you gave me headlights."
Oh!
And somebody else responded, "High beams."
Oh, that's funny. That's so funny. Raquel Welch, and
this is the man I married to, folks.
Yeah, she's married to a 12-year-old, perpetually 12 years old.
She aged gracefully. I'm just saying that too, Raquel Welch.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt
Still
about
a beautiful
it. Yeah.
woman.
Oh, Raquel Welch is gorgeous.
I'll tell you what.
Yes.
some of these classic leading ladies, that have been beautiful all their lives, pretty much destroy the whole narrative about after a certain age, blah 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 blah. Nope. Sorry, if you didn't maintain yourself, that is
That's
not
what happens. Yeah.
That is not Hollywood's fault. That is entirely you.
That's a you fault.
If you didn't, and nothing says you got to be gorgeous, sexy all your life. You can pivot the roles that you play.
Yes.
If you don't do that, that's again your own fault. But I don't see enough celebrities making good decisions about their roles, or even making decisions about roles. There's some like I think I've mentioned Tom Cruise. I think he's very discerning about the roles he chooses. He has made some mistakes, but people make mistakes. That's fine. You move on. I see so many others that are taking role after role after role that makes them look terrible, not because they did a bad job, but because it's like they're in all of these bombing films. Because let's face it, if you were betting at Kalshi, you'd have a almost sure thing that most films are gonna go bust because all the reasons we talk about on our channels here. But sometimes you just gotta say, you know what, it's not worth it. Just because I'm getting a paycheck, is not enough because it can be ending my career.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was Tom Connors who made a great observation that Gina should not come back to Star Wars unless they're going to give her like such a boatload of money and then she plans to retire from acting. Because this movie is going to bomb whether she's in it or not.
Oh, yeah.
And this is not how you want to come back into acting with a bomb, you know?
Edward G. Robinson, yeah, he had famously done a pivot too, though, right? Like, he was usually lead and then he had to become a character actor. But people remember him from those roles too. And I think that's the same thing with what you were mentioning with sometimes just take a good role, even if it's not the main lead.
Yeah, yeah.
And
honestly, you know, I wish more actors had the attitude of, you know, the classic British actors, that there are no small roles, you know, and not being afraid to be, you know, a historically big name, but I'm going to take that supporting role because that's a great role, you know.
And there have been actors who have been like, you know what, I don't even care if you pay me, I want to play this part.
Yeah. I never even thought about that. I watch a lot of these English shows where you have one guy who's a regular on a show, and then he shows up in a bit part in another mystery show, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, he's the lead on this other show, and I'm like, oh, there's no small parts. Now it clicked in my head.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because like Catherine Zeta-Jones, I think, is the one for Chicago. She goes, I want to be in this, and I want to just sing this one song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she did
and
fantastic.
Not only did she do fantastic what you saw on the screen, she did a fantastic job behind the scenes. She did all the choreography for that movie.
Really? I didn't know that.
No, she's
amazing.
She's a talent. I think now she's on Wednesday, right? Yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
she is. There's another example. I mean, she's getting older, but man, she's still good. She still looks really, really good. So anyway, we got to get you guys.
Yeah, let's get over to Deleted Scenes channel but you should pivot if you're on Troy's channel. But if not, just you should be subscribed to him anyway, though. But all right,
absolutely right. And go give Deleted and Big Al all the love, and hopefully then after that, see you back on my channel for Doctor Who.
And of course, I want to thank my producer for tonight, Ruby Hoove, for the gifties and the super
all
chat.
those gifties.
Oh my goodness, thank you so very much. You are definitely our producer for tonight.
Executive producer.
Executive producer, yes.
There you go. Okay.
All right, y'all have a good week, man. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.